There was a family that loved big.
A girl from New York, a guy from California. You know, they intersect in Georgia. They meet, they marry, they have 3 beautiful kids, and life is good.
They lived in Ackworth, Georgia, in a wonderful, loving community.
So you begin to make memories. You begin to get to, whether they're memories of them in school or they're memories of them at home or on vacations, where some of the best memories are always made.
Almost every summer, they would boogie board. They would go out and get all-you-can-eat crab, and they would have an amazing time.
Went to church every Sunday, grew up in the church.
Just being together, but loving big.
4 years ago.
On February 10th,
2016.
everything changed.
The oldest one is no longer there anymore. He's gone.
And I got in the car, I got off at 3, and I looked at my phone and I was like, that's weird. Caleb hasn't called me today. And normally I would have already caught that. But I was like, he hasn't called or texted me. And so I texted him, and if you're, mom, you know that feeling when it says not delivered. So I kept calling, and all of a sudden I said, I'm gonna call his friend. And his friend answered, and I said, hey, Kyle, can you check his roommate? I said, can you check on Caleb? I can't get a hold of him. And I said, sure, I'll call you right back. And calls me back, and he says, he's not breathing. He's not breathing. And I start screaming, call 911. And call 911 right now. Call 911. So he calls 911. I'm calling him back. He won't answer. I'm like, this can't be real. I start to drive to Caleb's home, but I can't remember where he lives. Of course, I call Matt. Repeatedly, I call, and finally he answered, hey, what's up? And I said, he's not breathing. Caleb's not breathing.
And Rhonda calls, and my first reaction was, I really can't talk right now. And she's like, he's not breathing. Caleb's not breathing. And, you're like, what? And she's like, he's not breathing. At that point, I told her, I said, I'm leaving right now to go get him.
And he hung up, and I began to think, this is not what it seems. He's not gone. My son's not gone. I just know he's not. This is just a mistake. We're going to get him to the hospital, and we're going to get this taken care of.
So I just ran to the car at that point. You get in the car, and I knew then that he was gone.
I called my sister because I knew my mom would be next in line as far as how this would hit her. And I said, get to my mom, and get to my house so when Micah gets off the bus, because Caleb's, as of now, we don't know details, but might not be alive.
I get there, the police are already there. I'm trying to get into the apartment, and they're embracing you and saying, you can't see him this way.
I kept calling Matt, how do I get there? I can't remember how to get there. And of all days, it was traffic. And I wanted to scream out my window, you guys don't know. Let me go ahead of you. My son's dead. My son's dead. And got to his apartment, and this young lady, I was crying. She goes, are you wanting, she almost knew. She goes, are you with, and then I look, and there's Matt. And he said he's gone. And I started screaming. As a mom, you want to protect your other ones immediately. So that they were my main concern, because I know how fast with social media things get out there. And I think it was already starting to get out there. So Micah, I got handled.
I just got off the school bus, and I get a call from my cousin, Dakota, telling me that my brother was hurt or something. I'm not really exactly sure what exactly she said, but I never knew exactly what happened. And then my aunt and everyone came over to, I guess, just be there for me. And they told me about everything, and I just started just praying out to God and crying and stuff.
I knew Mackenzie was 3 hours behind, so she definitely needed to get it to her as soon as possible.
I actually was with two of my good friends in LA. I was with my friend Maddie and then her boyfriend, Cedric, and we had drove to Laguna, which was like an hour from LA. He actually drove us that day to go to the beach, and we were just gonna have a beach day, and my mom actually called her boyfriend. She told them, and then they told me to call my mom. And we had like just sat down on the beach, so I knew when they told me to call my mom, like something was wrong. I mean, at that point I was like already like freaking out because my friend Maddie was like screaming. So I knew something was wrong because she was freaking out. And I could just tell by the reactions that it was probably someone died.
Getting it to the kids was probably the hardest thing, but in that moment, you're almost like you're in a movie.
The first night is the worst. It's awful. You hear sounds, that, I mean, there's moaning and crying. It's more so the moaning from pain.
I remember Micah and my mom just like all of us screaming. There's no other, you're just kind of like just desperate, like we aren't gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. I know for me, I decided not to take any medication to help me get through it because I knew for the rest of my life it was gonna be a pain until I'm reunited with Caleb. So I decided every day, even if I would go back to bed, I would get up and I'm gonna have hope because I have other kids to live for. And now it's stretched beyond just my kids. There's a lot of other people, young people, that I've chosen to live for, to share this story that their life can change. And that's why I'm writing a book called Just Once. Just one time, your life can change. It was a few weeks before he died. He said, "Mom, Dad, I just want to apologize. I'm sorry for saying you guys aren't the cool parents because you wouldn't party with me or you wouldn't allow me to drink and stuff in the home." He said, "I just want to apologize for that. And you actually did the right thing by doing that." And there were just those moments that now looking back, I'm like, God, you gave me those moments. And he, almost a few days within that, he was standing in the corner of our kitchen. I can just see where he was, leaning up against the wall. And he goes, "Mom and Dad, don't worry, I'm going to make you proud." And at that, it came out of my mouth so easily. I said, "Caleb, if you never do another thing a day in your life, we're proud of you." So those were God moments for me, like that now I can look back and go, wow, I had that time with Caleb, not ever dreaming 2 weeks later I would lose him.
I've had two dreams, but the one was like so real. And it's weird because he was like 16, so his hair was a little longer. And we were standing in the bedroom and he looked at me and had his head, he looked at me and then he put his head down and he's like, "Dad, I'm so sorry." The only thing I said to him was like, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because all I want is you." And I think that's the way God is with us too, is that, we come to him and like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "It doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're here at this moment, And obviously I kept just repeating to him, "I love you so much." The conversation isn't, he already knows what he's done, and people know what they've done. The conversation is, "I love you, and I'm glad we're here now, and we can go from here, I
just really want young people to know your decisions don't just affect yourself. They affect everybody around you.
And the hard part is, in being young, you don't have the experience to know. You just think like, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to take this and I'm going to be fine. But that's not the case.
Just one pill out of a package. It didn't take the whole package. It only took one. From taking from somebody you didn't trust to have an immediate fix. There is nothing that's going to immediately fix the physical pain or the emotional pain or things in your life. It's not going to be an immediate fix.
Because we couldn't fight for him anymore, so we began to fight for the kids in our own community. And because we would see them, we'd see them, at the grocery store or at the coffee shop or at the pool, and they knew what happened. At some point, when we did get the, the lab results and all that stuff, the story begins. We were never ashamed to tell the story because we wanted kids to know, what had happened so they didn't make the same mistakes. And we had been very open about a lot of the pain.
Thank you, God, for trusting me with Caleb. How you gave me 23 years with the most incredible kid. And I am so grateful that God trusted me with him. And then he even trusts me in the grief. He's even trusting me. God, you must trust me with my sorrow. And so I have to be a testimony of what are you going to do with what you've been given in life? What are you going to do with your sorrow? And so in my sorrow, I'm going to praise him more. I'm going to be more grateful. I'm going to live out a life of love and joy that Caleb lived out. And that's just my message, that there is hope beyond, no matter what you're facing. It doesn't have to be death, but whatever you're facing, there is hope. And because he lives, we are able to face tomorrow.